Elemental damage weapons are some of the best in Dragon's Dogma 2, and they can actually provide some amazing extra effects. Unfortunately, they are also the most difficult to find, and it doesn't seem that there are any vendors that also sell them. So you are kind of reliant on finding these out in the open world, which is perfect because that's exactly what I'm going to show you in this video. We have a bunch of weapons for multiple classes as well as a bunch of cool looking gear, so let's jump right into it. So let's get started with the first one. For all the thieves out there, we have the Frosted Edges daggers, actually an amazing pair that come with the Frost Elemental on them, so you can actually freeze and eventually also slow down enemies with them. Plus that, it comes with some pretty nice damage. You actually get this from a side mission or during the side mission Mercy Among Thieves that starts very early on in the Batal region. So as soon as you pass the gates right here, you're going to find a bunch of NPCs on the other side, including Lissandro right here to your left. So go ahead, speak to him. He's going to tell you about a band of thieves roaming around. So from this point on, you're going to want to start the quest and proceed down the road. And down the road, you can also speak to a bunch of these other roaming NPCs, which will also tell you about the band, as well as a nearby ox cart that has been recently raided by them. This will reveal this location further down south, so head over there, progress through the mission. It's actually pretty simple as you only have to chase down an NPC through a thieves hideout. There will be a lot of enemies, so be careful about that, but once you're in the end section of it, in this larger area, once that mission is complete and you're past the final cutscene, you will find this chest inside this tent, which will give you the Frosted Edges. And also a bit earlier in the exact same bigger area, you will find this side entrance in a cave, which is going to give you the Decapitator mask if you want something to look a bit cooler with your thief. This is, by the way, the location on the map you want to be in if you were wondering. But like I said, the pair of Frosted Daggers are actually amazing. They deal very good damage, and most important, they do build up that Frost Elemental on enemies really quickly. It's only 45%, which might seem pretty low, but since you're doing very fast attacks, it more than compensates for that, and I found that it's very easy to eventually slow down enemies with this. You can actually fully freeze on enemies, including the big Cyclops and some of the other larger enemies. Overall, very amazing at this point in the story, especially since many enemies in this region are very weak against frost damage. The next one is Infernal Edge, a very good, quite early on option for Mystic Spearhand that comes with the elemental fire effect on it. You actually get this from the mission called Told to Rest, which you do by accompanying Oscar right here in the ancient battlegrounds. It's actually on its second exit, a bit further northeast of the checkpoint Rest Town. So once you reach this location, you should see him here, but there's also a troll attack, and in my case, he also died, so I had to use a wake stone to get him up. But from this point on, simply follow him and help him to clear up a bunch of enemies in the nearby abandoned castle ruins. Simply progress through it. He will guide you through the entire process. You will have to climb a bunch of, well, ladders and eventually make it to the other side of the castle until you reach this final larger hall, and he's going to bring you to this larger room to the right side. This is where that mission ends, and I suggest you to immediately get all the items in this room. You also got the ancient battleground key from him, so keep that in mind for just a bit. But in the meantime, grab this chest on to your right. This is going to give you the makeshift vault key. This is the second one actually you can get, which can be used at the vault back in the main town of Vernworth. But in the meantime, just exit the room you just been into and go one of these doors down these stairs that you see right here covered by some of these crates. Destroy them and then use that battleground key to open this up. And inside you're going to find a bunch of chests. One of them is going to give you about 22,000 gold and a fairy stone, and the second one will give you the Infernal Edge. At this point in the game, it was by far one of my favorite weapons. The damage it came with was already amazing, and of course Mystic Spearhand being an OP class means that you can absolutely own enemies with it. Yes, it's fire damage, so some of the enemies in Batal may be a little bit resistant to it, but I mean, it looks so awesome, and that effect activates automatically every single time you unsheath it. So you don't need any mage or anything else to buff this elemental damage on these weapons. At number 3, we have this absolutely stunning, and yes, absolute pun intended, Cyclopean Thunder Mace, which is of course for the warrior vocation. And it's a very easy find also in Batal. You will have to head over right here at the Dark's Beast Den, and you're going to find its entrance right here by the side of the mountain. Be careful because there are some annoying electric enemies inside, but once you dealt with them and go a bit further back into the cave, you will find the only chest here that gives you this really awesome looking Thunderhammer. And as you can see, this actually comes with a 150% electricity element on it, which means it's going to be insanely good. Especially if you get targets soaked with water, you're going to enhance the damage on the warrior so much. You're going to literally zap damage and HP out of their, well, bars like it's nothing. Plus, warriors in general are absolutely amazing. They can stagger targets so easily, make them flinch, make them fall, and even like see stars with the bonks, you hit them in the head. So absolutely top tier weapon. You should get it right away, especially as a warrior. It doesn't stop here though, and we do have a weapon with the Holy Elemental on it. It's called the Exalted, and it's actually amazing against undead and skeleton enemies. However, you have to progress quite a lot into the Batal region, basically right here into one of its southern ends at the Drobnir's Grotto, which is the one that brings you to the next area. Quick tip, if you want a very strong armor for the warrior, what you can do is to keep it right here on the main path, very close to the entrance, and then to the left side, you're going to enter a tunnel, so just keep it to the second left, and eventually this will bring you to a bunch of enemies, as well as this sort of balcony that's enclosed. So just deal with the enemies, then keep it again to the third left, and finally you're going to reach this second balcony with the chest, which is going to give you the Indomitable Armor. This is a pretty awesome one to have for the warrior. It comes with some nice defenses, it looks pretty awesome, and has a ton of elemental resistances, or well, debilitation resistances for sleep and other stuff, especially if you bring this and upgrade it at a blacksmith. But from this point on, you will have to continue very far into the area, so simply head over further down into the caves, into the tunnels. It's going to take quite a bit until you reach the other side, so keep going, go past the enemies, and don't worry about it too much. Eventually, you will have to reach the other side, climb back up, and this is going to bring you to the final platform right here with the chest very close to its exit. If you opened it, it's going to give you the Exalted weapon. And by the way, this is how the area looks like, and this is the overall positioning on the map. So as you can see, it's pretty much almost at the end over there. But as far as the weapon goes, it's really amazing. It comes with a 100% elemental holy damage. So it's actually going to be very useful if you fight at night, if you fight against skeleton enemies and undead. What's best about this is that there are many caves containing them in Batal where there are amazing items you can find, so it's totally going to be a good option to place on the fighter in your team. Plus, it seems that if you hit enemies that are undead with this thing, they remain dead, they will no longer raise back, even if you don't destroy their skulls. At least that's what I noticed. But we have other really awesome items in here, including armors with a ton of elemental resistances. One of them is going to be at the Sensier's Cave, right here, very close to this river section. So normally, once you reach this plot, you're going to notice that the area is blocked. However, if you get close, there's going to be one of these bigger Cyclops that will destroy the tree line, and then you can enter once you defeat it. So what you have to do is to go to the second cave in the area called the Sensier's Cave. Inside, you're going to find a bunch of easy to defeat enemies. And right here, there's going to be a junction with about 3 total treasure chests. So destroying this obstacle will lead you to the first 2. One of them is going to give you a ring of deflection as well as a potion. And if you go back and pick the other route, this at the end is going to give you this really awesome Ravager's Lord's helmet. So again, it's going to be for the warrior, but it looks really awesome. I think that it makes you look like a real savage. If you want a pair of awesome looking trousers for multiple classes and ones that are also very strong, you can actually get the Dapper ones right here from the roadside hollow, also in Batal. So it's going to be inside this cave. There's no enemies over here, it's completely empty, it's also very small, and at the end of it you're going to find the Dapper Trousers. And they come with some nice defenses on them, plus they look pretty neat if you want to go with this kind of look. And finally, we have the Legend's Mantle. Yes, the name sounds much better than what the item looks like, but you will find it right here in this Sanctuary Cavern, aromatic sanctuary actually that you find right here on this side of the map, again in Batal. So there are going to be a bunch of enemies inside, but if you make your way up one of these paths right here, there's going to be one of these chests protected by just one enemy. Take it down, and inside you will find this set piece. And that's pretty much it with all of the items in this case. Of course, lots more to follow soon, as we're still discovering stuff and still going over all of the items. So far, I'm trying to compile a full list of all the elemental weapons available for all the classes, especially ones that are not available at any vendors in main cities. So if you know of any locations and maybe you found a very awesome weapon that has an elemental effect on it, totally leave a comment down below, as well as its location if you want to. It would very much be appreciated. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.